Hey everybody, welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then this is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. In our first story, a Choosing Beggar contacts customer service to try and get some fees waived. You know what they say, if at first you don't succeed, threaten violence. Let's jump right in. I literally don't know what just happened, but I work customer service on the phone for an essential service. It's understandable with the pandemic going on and jobs being laid off that payments are hard to make. We're not Scrooges. We get it and try to help anyone that has been past due since the pandemic started. This one guy just called and let me just set it up for you. Customer service, how can I help you? I have late fees that need to be waived. I heard you can do that for me since this whole flu thing is happening. Yes, he said flu thing. If you'll give me a moment to look through your account... I didn't call for small talk, sugar. Just do your job and tap away my fees. Okay, so I go through his account. Not only is it over $900 US, he is 276 days past due, which is well before the pandemic occurred. There were even notes that showed we called, started notifying the past due amount, and he would disconnect. Sir, I see your account is actually significantly past due by over 270 days. What? I never got notified. Actually, sir, according to our records, it does show that we called multiple times, and the call would get disconnected on your end. The guy was quiet for a minute. So, are you going to waive my fees? We can start off fresh, clean slate, so to speak. No, you have to pay for the items you received. I can't waive your entire balance. Flip that stuff. You're gonna waive those fees. No, sir, I'm not. However, I'll be happy to send you the invoices for the payment that is due, as well as the telephone number to collections, in case you're unable to pay by the end of the month. Where are you from? Why? Because if you don't take those fees off, I'm gonna come over there and kick your butt so hard, you'll be eating food through a straw in the hospital. Flipping witch, who do you flipping think you are? Who do you flipping think you're talking to? I was fed up at this point, and I know I shouldn't probably have said it, but I did. I'm talking to irritating deadbeat who is past due by 276 days and is subject to be sent to collections. Now, how shall we continue? I hope you flipping die. Click. Yup, that happened. So, he can't afford to pay his bills, but he can buy a plane ticket to go to my state just to try and kick my butt. Yeah, nice try. In story 2, we have a Choosing Beggar brother who is a perfect example of how real it is that you can't choose your family. Right, so usually I don't post stuff like this, but I had to get this off my chest. My brother is one of the worst people I've ever met. I'm a middle child, my brother being the older one, and I have a younger sister, so I usually got the scraps left behind by the two most of my life, but that just comes with the territory. Shouts out to middle children. Now, my older brother has been the worst since as long as I could remember. From stealing a $400 computer from me, my family didn't back me up there since they didn't want to deal with him anymore, to kicking me out of the house for snapping at one of his drunken roommates that I had paid half the rent for when he didn't pay any. But he invited me back after a week once he figured out how hard it was to watch a child. But those are stories for other days. My sister recently got out of a treatment center, and while I was a little low on funds, end of the month, I decided to treat her. I can be a bit too generous even when I can't afford it. We were driving around chatting about sister stuff and where to go eat when we decide on Boston Pizza. That's when my brother gives my sister a call, wanting to be picked up for lunch from his community college and get something to eat. We go and pick him up, and as he gets in, he's talking to his girlfriend on his smartphone. Whenever we try to say something to him, he just ignores us and keeps talking. We're about halfway to the nearest Boston Pizza, crossing a bridge, we live in a big city, before he finally hangs up. So, where are we going to eat? We decided on Boston Pizza. Oh, well, there's a pasta place back there that would have been a lot better. A little late for that. You could have said something before we crossed the bridge. Alright, I guess Boston Pizza works, but let's go there next time. I wanted to tell him not to talk on the phone next time, but there's no arguing with him, especially since he's never respected what either of us says. So we arrive at Boston Pizza, and I told him I was treating my sister to lunch. He said that was cool, and we got a table. Me and my sister got stuff from a $10 meal menu, but he got some burger and fries combo that was a bit pricey, for me anyway. I had about $75 left for the month. After we ordered, I couldn't help but notice he had been creepily eyeing all of the waitresses working there, but I only shook my head. I couldn't do anything about it. Halfway through our meal, he finally said it. "So you guys know I don't have any money, right?" I just stared at him. He pulls this kind of thing all the time, but I'm a bit too trusting with family to remember most of the time. I only sigh and say, "Lunch is on me." He didn't even offer to pay me back. Since he figured I was treating my sister, I can treat him too. After we finished eating, the bill, drinks, and food came up to a little less than $50. I paid it all and left a $5 bill on the table as a tip. Sorry if this seems cheap, but I only tip what I can afford. My brother notices this and looks at me. "That's it? Huh? You're not going to leave more?" Obviously, I was surprised at this. I would have asked, "Why don't you tip with all of your money?" But I'm not as petty as he is. So he continued without me saying anything. "You should at least leave $10. I used to be a pizza guy and tips are everything. I only have so much left for the month since I bought you lunch here. But you can afford to bring sister here. It was a treat for her getting out of treatment. Well, leave a bigger tip or we're not leaving. I don't want to look cheap." I should mention I still don't have a driver's license, but they do. It was my sister that drove us here, though. She was already outside starting the car during all of this. I thought my brother was joking, but he sat down at the table and started messing about on his smartphone. I noticed our waitress watching our table, so being an anxious person, I took the $5 and left a $10 bill. My brother nodded smugly before giving our waitress a wave, and away we went. I promised myself never to take my brother out anywhere after this, since I now know how a lot of his weasel tactics work. This is the second time he's done something petty at a restaurant I took him and my sister to. He's much older than me, but I still can't comprehend why he acts like this. Never again. That brother sounds like a real piece of work. If the OP actually starts to protect herself from her brother's scummy ways, then actually, it's well worth the price of a meal. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, here's how you handle it. You call the waitress over and you say, "Thank you for the wonderful service. My brother's going to pay your tip," and then you walk out of the restaurant. In our final story, a choosing beggar comes to pick up a free riding lawnmower. That doesn't sound difficult, does it? I listed a Craftsman riding lawnmower on Marketplace for free. It had a couple fixable issues, but I now pay someone to cut my lawn, so I just wanted it out of my garage. A dude shows up to get it. Visualize Post Malone, only less cute. But he doesn't have any way of getting said riding mower into his truck. No ramps, no friend to help, nothing. He has the nerve to look at me and ask how he's supposed to get it into his truck. I'm overly kind, and even though I had 50 other people wanting a free lawnmower, I told him I'd hold it for him for a couple of days until he could return with help. He snapped back that he wasn't about to drive all the way back out here again. He only lived 9 miles away. I know I should have said I couldn't help him and asked him to leave at this point, but I'm such a pushover and a problem solver, and I panicked and wanted to figure this out. My yard is sloped, so I came up with the idea that he could back his tailgate into the slope and we could push the mower up the hill and then down into the truck bed. And although I revel in my brilliance at this idea, I'm now mad at myself for suggesting it since he could have sued me if he got injured on my property. After performing this maneuver, there was still about an 18-inch gap between the ground and his tailgate, so it was still going to require some help. We tried multiple ideas, including him having me get my car jack out of my trunk for him to use, and my landscape pavers to chalk the wheels so it would stop rolling into his tailgate while he tried to jack it up. Then he asked if he could bum a cigarette and was disappointed to learn that I don't smoke. Every idea to get it loaded failed until he asked if I had any 2x4s he could use as ramps. I actually did, and that ended up working since the distance was short enough that they wouldn't snap in half. I let him push it up the makeshift ramp by himself, and he complained that I wasn't helping him. Y'all, I'm a 140-pound female. I'm strong, but I'm not capable of manhandling a riding lawnmower. We finally got the thing loaded. Then he looked at me and was like, "Well, I need something to tie this down with." He said it expectantly, like it was entirely my responsibility to supply him with such supplies, and he was irritated that I didn't have something ready for him. I was dumbfounded and getting mad at this point, and honestly, I was afraid that if I told him that I had nothing and that it was his problem to figure out, that he'd just drive off and let it roll out as he headed up my driveway. And why wouldn't he? He didn't pay anything for it. At this point, he starts snooping through my garage when I told him I didn't have any rope or anything. I sacrificed one of my extension cords just to get him off of my property. He never thanked me. Before I start getting comments about what I shouldn't have done, I do want to acknowledge and accept blame for creating an environment for this to have happened the way it did. First of all, I made the mistake in listing something online for free, which I know better than to do from past experience because it just brings out the entitled freeloading meth heads. And the resulting scenario happened because I have major problems with being passive. It's so bad that I'm in therapy in an attempt at learning assertiveness skills. Well, they do say that admitting you have a problem with choosing beggars is the first step. This is John from /bash. Today, I have a special offer. 50% off the price of subscribing if you do it right now. Huh, I can see it now. This is why everyone says I'm so generous. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and share, and we will see you in the next one.